Hello and thanks for tuning in. I'm Sam from Webcontempo, and in this video we are going to be doing a review and analysis of AprilP.com. April P requested we do a critique of her site, and she was gracious enough to let us go ahead and do that. So we are going to look over the site and come up with some different suggestions on improvements we can make, and just run some analysis on some basic things and see how it's performing. So let's dive right into it. As you can see, this is the homepage here, AprilP.com, and what she does is she's an author and sells several books on Amazon. So this site is, I think, one of the primary purposes of the site is to promote her different books that she sells on Amazon. And you can see the topic of this subjects that she writes on is has to do with recovering from being a drug addict and that type of stuff. So right when you get to the site, you'll see here we've got a new book being advertised right at the top, so that's good. You got the release date right here. Now, one thing I noticed is that there's a variety of different types of fonts on the site, so we'll get into that a little bit more later. Scrolling down, it looks like this is just a little slider with some different pictures and stuff here. Right here is a link to another book that she's got. Here's a little section of information about her, and here's a Facebook page widget. Down here, let's see, we've got more info on another book. Here's a Twitter widget right here, and then last we've got another book right down here. And then let's see if we scroll down. Notice it's kind of unusual, but the site seems to scroll down quite a bit with nothing, but there is a little bit at the bottom here, and you can see this is powered by Website Builder. So this is built using GoDaddy's Website Builder tool, and you're going to be paying probably around $7 to $10 a month for a basic plan to use this. And they basically have like a website editor where you can go in and create your site, which is what I'm assuming she did. So for a site that she created herself, overall, I think she did a really nice job with it. Obviously, design subjective. This clearly doesn't look like it was a professionally designed site, but you don't have necessarily to have a professionally designed site to serve your main purpose, which is to spread awareness about the books that you've got out there, and more information on what you're doing. So I think that's just fine. Overall, design is not really that important. So right here, I think this is good that we've got right when you come to the site, you've got the information on the new book that's coming out. I think it would probably make sense to always feature whatever book you want to promote the most right here in this top area, since that's what's going to hit people right when they get to the site. Coming out down here, it gets a little bit disjointed for me. You've got some information about April, which is good, and here you've got the Facebook, and then right here you've kind of got this other book stuck in here, and then you go right down in here to another book, and the Twitter is kind of just in here right there, and then here you've finally got the last book. So I think it's good to have all this information on the page, but maybe what I would do is think about laying it out a little bit differently. If I were going to do this, I think what I would do is feature one book right here, the primary one I was going to feature, just like she has, and I think I would actually almost keep it exactly like this, so with a large picture, larger text. Obviously, if it's not released yet, then you want the release date, or otherwise we would have like some type of button linking us to where we can buy it or learn more about it. So I think this part is pretty much right. Now, if it were me, what I would probably do is have the other additional books that she's written. I would probably group those all together rather than kind of having them spread out with the about section. So maybe what I would do is set like a 3-column area, because it looks like there's 3 other books, so maybe do like 3 columns right here. I like the size of this graphic, and I think you could fit 3 of these in here, so you maybe have each of the 3 books just right below this, maybe like a little bit of description below that, and then link to view that on Amazon. These are all click through to Amazon to view. Now, one thing I did notice is that there's these links that say click here to view, but it's kind of unusual because the only part of this image that I can't click is actually the place where it says click here to view. So if you click through here, then it'll take you over to Amazon, which is just fine. But it is kind of unusual that you can't actually click on this link. So maybe what I would do in this case is, rather than putting this over the image, maybe just put it underneath or put a button. In fact, you could almost get like, if you search Google, you could probably find like a, view on Amazon button. I actually think telling people in advance that the link they're about to click is going to take them to Amazon almost might be a benefit, because there's so many people who shop on Amazon now. People are really used to it and comfortable shopping there, so getting them from your site to Amazon is almost a better way to kind of move them through the sales process. So if they know that they click on the link, then they're going to go to Amazon. They know they'll be able to find stuff that they want to know, like how long is the book, read some reviews on the book. Those are all the type of things I would like to look at if I was checking out a book on Amazon. So if it was me, I'd probably actually be more likely to click a button if it was an Amazon button. So I would say maybe, if I were going to do this, I would take all three of these, put them right in a row, right under here, and then below that have an Amazon button, and then maybe a brief description if you could fit it in. You could also you could lay them out like this too, where you have image on one side, text on the other, and then the image on this side, text on the other, etc., and do it like that. If you want to take up the whole page, that would probably be fine too. I do think it's important to have the get to know April section. Now you could add this as a whole different page, so you could just add like an about page right up here, and then put that information on that page, or you could just put it right below. I mean, it's important, but I think it's more important to showcase the books. So that's probably what I would do, is get those in first, and then have this kind of stuff secondary. And then I would also keep the social media stuff together. I don't think I would have them on different parts of the page. I mean, it's probably doesn't matter much one way or the other, but I think just to kind of keep things more organized, I would just kind of keep them in the same place. So maybe just drop them down right here. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, overall these look good. So I think I would just change the organization of them a little bit. And the other thing now is that, generally speaking, as a rule, I don't really like to use more than like 2 different fonts on a page. Maybe in some cases you could have a couple, maybe like 3 or 4 fonts that you use on one page, but I think that it makes it a little bit harder to read almost, when you've got them in an ununiform way like this. So what I would probably do is maybe choose like 2 fonts, one font for a heading, and then maybe a more conservative body font, and think about using a format like that. So I really like this typewriter font right here. I think this would be good for a heading, or in some cases you could get away with it as a body font. Although if I was going to use it as a body font, I would not want it as bold as this. Usually I like to keep the main body font normal font weight, not bold. It just makes it a little bit easier for people to read it, and it helps you because you can separate your headlines from your copy a little bit better, and that way you can kind of make certain things that are really important stand out. So rather than having everything kind of blend together, then you can really kind of have certain stuff that's important really stand out for people and jump out and catch them. Like this right here, #1 bestseller in drug and dependency and self-help. I would say this is a pretty important thing, and I would definitely want to make sure that people see that and know it. I mean, that you almost might want to have a graphic for that, or put it in maybe put it in red or something like that. I think that's pretty important because that's a good accomplishment, and definitely something that lends to your credibility, and would make people more likely to want to buy your book, I would think. So I would probably try to find a way of showcasing that a little bit more. So that's about it for the homepage. Let's go ahead and click through to the blog. Okay, so yeah, so on GoDaddy's website builder, I don't really know what kind of options they have as far as a blog goes. Um, to me, it kind of looks like this is almost just one long page. It's not normally what you'd expect when you see a blog. So, yeah, I think you'd almost be better because you've definitely got some nice articles here. Um, and they're long too, which is good. You might be better off setting up a blog at like WordPress.com or something like that, which would be free, and then you could just link out to that. That's going to let you format your blog and make it searchable a little bit easier for people than this, because you know you've got these posts, you want people to actually be able to read them, and um, unfortunately, when you got a page this long, your chances of people actually scrolling all the way to the bottom are pretty slim. So ideally, you want to have some type of navigation or recent posts or something up here that lets people click through to the different posts without actually having to scroll down the page. Because if they have to do that, they're less likely to want to actually read all that content. I mean, it's just going to lower your chances. So, and then again, with the font on this one, it's partially just an opinion. So you don't necessarily have to do this, but I would say, especially for a long form content like this, use a more conservative font like a Arial or Helvetica that is going to be a little bit easier on people if they're going to be reading through a long article like this. So definitely it would be okay to use kind of these cool fonts for headings and stuff like that. But if it was me, I would probably stick with the more conservative font on the body font. I think it'll make people easier for people to read, and probably more likely that people will actually read through the whole thing. So just an opinion, but something I would probably suggest. And then otherwise, this page looks pretty good. I think this is good. You got the social up here that looks fine. Yeah, I don't see any other issues on this page. If we click books here, this just takes you to Amazon. So I don't really see anything we need to talk about there. I think that's good to have that there. And I would just leave that right the way it is. Treatment. This is good to have in the site, and I think the way that this page is set up is basically fine. Again, the only thing I would maybe look at is that all this text kind of blends together. So maybe I would say maybe like change the or if you link these links up, then they would probably look a little bit different, and I would probably also unbold them just to give you a little bit of contrast. I think it would make it a little easier to read the page. Overall, though, I think it's pretty much okay. I think the way this is set up is okay. Again, just with the different fonts, I would probably tone that down a little bit. Contact page. Let's see what we've got here. Follow on Facebook. I think that's good. Got a bunch of different stuff here. These are okay. These are suggested Facebook pages. Okay. And some different contact information. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. So yeah, obviously the contact form is not, it doesn't look that great, but I think it will serve its purpose, so that's probably fine. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think this is fine. If you following on Facebook is the most important thing, then definitely I would put that at the top. Otherwise, you may want to swap that and have the contact info first if that's what's most important to you. Because again, usually, when people come to the page, they might not necessarily scroll down, so you're going to want to have what's most important to you that people see right at front and center when they come to the page. So that may be the contact form. And then some of this here, honestly, this might almost be worthy of a whole separate page, like resources or recommended resources, something like that. Because these are all good, but they're not necessarily related to contacting you. So you might want to just regroup these onto a different page. So that's pretty much a walkthrough of the site. So main things, I'm not so worried about the inner pages. The main thing is getting this main page just optimized so that you can get people to do what you want them to do the most right when they come to the site. Which in this case, I think if it was me, I would want people to go to Amazon and look at my books on Amazon, especially because we've got a #1 bestseller. I'm sure there's probably a lot of reviews on it. So you want to get people to Amazon, get them reading those reviews, get them to put this in their cart at least, or hopefully buy it. So because of that, I would definitely just reorganize this a little bit so that you can see all the books right away when you get to the page, and it's clear and easy to understand. So that takes care of that. So we'll just take a look at a couple other things now. First off, we'll check the mobile. So if we scroll this down, you'll see that the site is not mobile responsive, so it won't scale down with you. So what they do on these kind of sites instead is they kind of substitute a different mobile site. So I got it up here on Browser Stack. Oh, it closed due to inactivity. So we'll pull it up on, this is going to emulate what it actually looks like on an iPhone 7 in Safari, so you can kind of see what somebody will see if they pull this up on their phone. And this is something you always want to test on your site, just so you know you can catch any like errors or whatever. Okay, let's see. Let's get it in here. aprilp.com, I believe. Sorry about that. Okay, so when we get to the page, it looks really similar to the desktop version. It's all just kind of squished together. But overall, so the first view you get when you get to the page, at least on the iPhone 7, you actually get a lot of good information. So you see this main book here. This is displayed really, the size on this is good, I would say. And then it even fits in the whole Get to Know April P section in the Facebook. So overall, that's pretty good. So actually, if you had it set so you showed your other 2 books like right there, you'd be getting a lot of important stuff right on the page, and you'd almost still have room for a Get to Know April P below that. But overall, it actually looks pretty good on a phone when you pull it up, even though it's kind of their weird GoDaddy way of doing it. It's still not too bad. You can see here that this is a little bit, the formatting is kind of weird. On this button here, you can see that the text wraps and then the button doesn't wrap with it. So it's not so much a problem for that one, other than it doesn't look good. But on these ones, it actually kind of obstructs the text too. So again, like I was saying before, I think I would drop these off of the book and drop it below. And if you did that, that would clear up your problem with that. And honestly, it's probably not even worth it to use this type of background, because it's not really set up to scale well for mobile. So I think you'd be better off just finding a view on Amazon button or something like that and put that below the picture. That's going to give you a better looking result. And you'll have less text overlap, and again, you just got a little bit of text right there overlapping. But overall, the page looks pretty good on mobile. Let's just check it on an iPad Air too, just to get an idea what it looks like on a tablet as well. Hopefully, it'll pull up the site right away, and we won't have to enter it in. Nope. So you can see we do a lot of testing of sites on here. It's a little time to load. Okay, so basically very similar layout. Another thing you notice is it does drag a little bit. So this is, when you use GoDaddy Site Builder, you kind of gotta, work with what you got. But it's not. You don't want to have this drag like this. So it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. And you can see here, this is still also an issue on the tablet as well. So again, the good thing about it is that this top part isn't messed up, so at least when they come to the page, they're going to see the most important stuff right away, and it's not going to be too messed up other than that. But I think I didn't even notice that until just now, so that's not too bad. But once you scroll down, then this stuff's actually formatted not very good. So okay, that's pretty much how the mobile looks. And then I also ran a speed test on GT metrics, which we can flip over to so you can get an idea of the site speed. And you'll see the GT metrics will give you a C, YSL will give you a D. Fully loaded time 3.6 seconds. It's actually not too bad. That's definitely more than what you want. But given the circumstances, I think that's okay. So the main errors they're giving you here are defer parsing to JavaScript. Honestly, you're not going to be able to do anything about that one, and it's probably not that big of a deal anyway. Serve scaled images. What that means is if we flip back over to your site here, a lot of times when you put an image in the site, you might put an image that's a lot larger than this into the site, but show it at this size. So what you're doing is scaling it down, and you're forcing the computer to serve up a larger image than what you need. So one thing you could do is to resize your images down to a size more like this before you put them in, or take these, resize them, and put them back in. And what that's going to do is get rid of the serve scaled images, because the smaller your images are, the faster that they're going to load, which is pretty much exactly what you want, is fast loading on images. And with a site like this, you don't really have a lot of other JavaScript or any other kind of effects or anything like that. So images are going to be the main thing that is going to slow you down. So you're always going to want to use correct size or close to correct size images. I mean, as long as these aren't like huge, it's probably not a big deal. But anyway, for speed, I would say that's probably about what I would expect from a site built on GoDaddy Site Builder. When you use that system, they don't have a lot of necessarily options that you can do to fix this, but these numbers are passable. So for what you have, it's probably not that big of a deal. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, overall, I definitely think you could make this theme work for you, just if you clean it up a little bit, particularly in the ways that I was saying about reformatting where you're showing certain stuff. So get the books in there first, because that's the most important thing, and then kind of move the social media so it's together, and just make a couple little adjustments on these inner pages and make sure you check it on a phone. That's going to be the main thing. So beyond that, now, if you really wanted to do something different, you could probably, for about the same price, what you could do is convert this to a WordPress site. And by doing that, you would be giving yourself a lot more flexibility over what you get from GoDaddy's website builder. So WordPress it's kind of similar to GoDaddy's website builder in that you can like plug in a theme and then kind of rearrange that however you see fit. But the good thing about WordPress is that they actually have a bunch of themes that are specific for ebooks. So before I started doing this review, I just quick pulled up a post that shows some of the top selling themes for ebooks from 2017. So if you just look here, you see there's a bunch of different layouts as far as themes specifically for people trying to sell their ebooks. I thought this one was especially nice. Nice and clean and right to the point. So, but you see they have a lot of different options. Here's a nice one for ebooks with multiple, or for authors with multiple different books. I think that's a nice one too. So here's another really nice one. This is another good one, right to the point. You got the purchase now right there. So, and here's another from multiple. So anyway, as you can see, there's a ton of different themes for WordPress. Now, WordPress is a free software, but you're going to need to have hosting for that. So you can actually get your hosting through GoDaddy, and rather than using Website Builder, which I'm pretty sure is like a minimum of $7 a month, you can actually get economy hosting, which I think is only like $2.99 a month. So it's actually cheaper to get a hosting plan from GoDaddy, install WordPress on it, and then now these themes, the thing about these is most of these you do have to buy. However, let's just click on one and see. Yeah, most of these are on ThemeForce, so this one's $50, but it's pretty much a one-shot deal, $50, and then you've got this theme, you've got a really nice layout, and you just need to plug your stuff in. So it's a little bit more upfront, but then you ultimately save some money down the road by getting off the website builder platform, which actually costs more monthly than it does to have a WordPress site. So really that is all stuff you could do yourself. You don't necessarily need to go out. If you're a little ambitious, you could get a hosting account, set up WordPress, get one of those themes, install it, and then plug your stuff into it. It's definitely doable by yourself, and really you'd probably only be paying like $50 out of pocket, and then you'd end up having a lower monthly fee than what you have currently. So that's definitely something I would look into, especially since you got the blog. The blog is definitely going to be better if you run it through WordPress, because then you can like categorize stuff and tag stuff. It's going to make it easier for search engines to pick it up, and easier for you to share your content for sure. Like for example, right now you've got this sharing button. This is just for this single blog page. When you get this into WordPress, you can have one of these on each individual blog post, so they can get shared separately, which is going to benefit you probably. So something to think about. Like I said, I'm not necessarily doing this just to push people into WordPress if they aren't already, because while I do think WordPress would be probably a good way to go, I think you could make the site work for you just by making those few changes I said. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful, and thanks again for the opportunity to review your site, and we definitely wish you the best of luck, and hope it works out great for you. Thanks.